Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to LinkedIn Tuesday. It's January 23rd, 2024. Please note this event is being recorded and is currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Please note that any comments you put in the Zoom chat window will not appear in the recording. For those people on Zoom, if you have any questions about the presentation, please just put those in the chat window. Also, we'd love to know what city you're watching from. So if you want to just pop in the city name, that would be great. Also, this is a great way to connect with everybody else who's on LinkedIn right now. Put in your name, what you're looking for, a couple of target companies, put in your LinkedIn address and connect with everybody else who's on the call today. Expand your connections. This is a great way to do that. For those watching on Facebook today, if you have any questions, please just enter those into the comment field. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Back in 2008, I started a website called careerdfw.org, a website to help those unemployed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. In 2012, I launched a second website, careerusa.org, to help those around the United States. I have written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search that you may not know. It is available on Amazon, or if you see me in person, I always have copies with me. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. The group's been around since the late 1990s. We have a really interesting program coming up this Friday. I'll tell you all about that at the end of this session. And since 2017, I've been a member of the Practice Interview Team, also known as the PIT Crew. Remember, your LinkedIn profile, your resume, they're not going to get you a job. All they get you is a phone call. How well you practice your interviewing skills. That's what's going to get you your next job. Well, we have 4 outstanding speakers who rotate through and talk about LinkedIn on a monthly basis. Today, Ruth Lipsky is with us to talk about LinkedIn tools for job seekers. Ruth is a career coach. She works at Lee Harrison. She's working with job seekers on a daily basis. So Ruth, first of all, Happy New Year. Haven't seen you since last year. And thank you for being with us.
My pleasure. Always happy to be here. And it's always nice to be able to talk with people who are trying to understand a little bit more what the whole idea of LinkedIn is. So we're assuming that you have a basic understanding of LinkedIn. And if you don't, you can certainly go and find enough information out on the web. We have some spectacular speakers on the other Tuesdays that talk about content and the tips to get noticed. We're going to talk about the tools today that LinkedIn has created for job seekers. So we're going to be starting out by saying that it's important for us to understand how recruiters are using this information, because you want to be visible to the recruiters, but first you need to find out what the recruiters actually say. So when a recruiter is on the LinkedIn recruiter software, they're going to be starting with a basic search, a title, in this case, a project manager, sometimes a location, although in this day of hybrid and remote activity, location may not be as important, but they're certainly going to put in some skills. And the skills and the job title are going to give them a list of people who qualify for this type of role. And in this case, it brings back nearly 43,000 total candidates. That's a lot of people to be sorting through. The thing to remember about LinkedIn is they never do anything randomly. There's a reason for the sort feature that you receive back from any of your searches. It means that that's the best fit for the search that you're doing. So Emily Dalton is number 1, Shannon Curry is number 2, Aubrey Mackey is number 3. LinkedIn has determined that those are the 3 strongest people who can apply for this small a search. LinkedIn also gives spotlight features across the top here so that recruiters are able to sort off this enormous number of possible candidates into smaller numbers. And the spotlight features are you open to work? Do you have connections to my company? Are you interested in my company? And are you an active talent? Which means several things, but generally means Do you go out onto LinkedIn a couple times a week and do something? Do you look for a job? Do you network with someone? Do you connect with someone? Do you add a skill? Do you take off something and replace it with something different? At least 3 times a week is considered an act of talent. But notice how little information LinkedIn is giving these recruiters. They're given a name, the headshot comes with it. This line right underneath the person's name is the headline area, and it gives the last couple titles. That's about it. After all the work you put in, making sure that you've got a strong about section, that you've got compelling stories in your experience section, LinkedIn doesn't give that. That's part of their algorithm to get you in order that they think is important. But at this point, the recruiter is looking at people that LinkedIn is telling them are well qualified based on this small amount of information, but now the recruiter doesn't have a lot of information to go by. So let's take a look at the things that the recruiters use in order to find people, find talent. They look at the headlines and the titles. They're going to be looking for skills because that's part of their search. And then they've got the spotlight features, the hashtag open to work, the mutual interest, and the active talent. Let's start off with a general statement of what's happening on LinkedIn. We know that 30% of the people who land on your profile won't bother to scroll down. So if they're on a normal computer looking at a normal screen, they're going to be able to see your name, your headline, maybe the first 4 lines of your about section, and that's all the information they're looking for. They're going to make a determination on very little information. And 97% of the people who go onto your profile aren't even going to open up your about section. Either they're not as interested as they thought they might be, or they've gotten plenty of information from the rest of your profile and they don't need more. But concentrate on the top part of your profile because that's what people are basing all of their decisions on. So we need a headline. The headline right after your name, and it's going to normally put in 1 or 2 titles, and then it's going to put in a value statement. And for somebody who's a developer, the value statements are going to be the programming capabilities so that the recruiter, when they're looking for a programmer or a developer, is going to know immediately they've got the skills in the area that is necessary. For people who are outside of highly technical areas, you're going to want to put in information that says specializing in, focused on, able to, something that says what you do or what skills you're using. You can put the skills just one after another, but it's generally better to put that in a statement because it's easier to read and understand. So here we've got a program manager who's specializing in international business expansion and manufacturing. Says it all. If that's what the recruiter's looking for, that tells the recruiter very specifically what this person can do for you. Here's an accountant, increasing productivity in highly regulated industries. Marketing manager, creating value for business through effective marketing strategies. Customer relations, helping the world become more customer-centric. If Walt Disney had had a LinkedIn profile, he could have put in his headline, entrepreneur, creativity, cartooning, but he probably would have gone into something like, I make dreams come true. The more attention grabbing, the more interesting your headline, the more information you give to a recruiter, the easier it is for that recruiter to find you, to decide that you're worth talking to, and looking at your profile and hopefully scrolling down and opening up your about section. The higher you are up in an organization, the easier it is to put in a strategic statement that talks about what your value is. The lower you are in an organization or the more technically specific, the easier it is to put in just skills. So depending on where you are, what you do, depends on what your headline needs to be, but you've got 220 characters. use them. Talk to the recruiters. You can also talk to the recruiters by expanding the titles that you have in your experience section. The company gave you a title, and the title is probably based on some internal considerations and may or may not describe completely what it is you do. So you're allowed in the experience section to translate your title into something that a recruiter might want to see. So in my case, my official title is career consultant, but in the industry, career coach is also used. They're interchangeable. So I put a pipe in between the two to indicate that if you're looking for one or the other, that's me. I'm both. Now, in this previous role as senior manager of training and development, that could indicate a very specific set of skills and what I would want to be doing next. But in actuality, my whole purpose was to take the team and move all of the classroom training into e-learning virtual training. So based on the role that I had and the actual work I did, I am really more of an instructional designer or an e-learning developer as what my title could have been. So in parentheses, you can translate your title into, this is what I did. Here are the skills that I would have assembled in this type area. So being able to put in more information into experience is going to give you an advantage by allowing the recruiter to understand a little bit more what it is you do. Now, LinkedIn has standardized titles for use for both the person who has a profile and for recruiters. There's 6,000 of them, and there is no list of them. But utilizing a title that LinkedIn has standardized gives you a better feel for what the recruiters are looking for, because the recruiter is going to use one of those standardized titles instead of one of their internal titles in order to do their job search. So put in the titles of who you are and give the recruiter a little bit of understanding of what you've done. Skills are an important part, and since you've probably already done a resume, if you're looking at your LinkedIn profile, you know that the set of skills is going to be very important on your resume because you've got a minimal amount of room for your skills, and they need to be able to match the job that you're looking for. Same thing on LinkedIn, but LinkedIn gives you a lot more room and a lot more opportunity to put in skills. But you still want to be able to put in what the recruiters are truly looking for. So one easy way to do it, and this is a complicated slide, so we'll go over and take a look at the profile itself. When you're in your profile, you've got a More button. And when you click on More, you can build a resume. When you click on Build a Resume, it'll say, you want to create it from your profile? Yes, you do. But before you can create it, you have to put in a job title. And let's say that I want to change careers and I want to be a project manager. This is one of the standardized titles, and this whole list contains standardized titles for LinkedIn. So let's apply that. Didn't like that one. And here it gives a resume. And if you've looked at your LinkedIn profile carefully enough, you can see that everything in your LinkedIn profile is really your resume. But it gives you resume insights here. So for a project delivery manager, it tells me these are some of the skills that are normally associated with a project delivery manager. You got them in your profile. Good for you. But here are some other words that are normally in that project delivery manager's resume or LinkedIn profile. You might want to consider adding them. So engineering, construction, analytical skills, and AutoCAD would probably be good things to add into my profile if I had that background and if I was truly looking for a project delivery manager. Now you can do this for as many job titles as you want. So if I was looking for a project delivery manager, fine. Now I've got some skills that I can add into my profile that LinkedIn is suggesting to me. Now, if I want to be a program manager, I can find the skills that LinkedIn feels are appropriate for that. So try this out, because LinkedIn is going to be giving you technical and soft skills that seem to be the high points of a recruiter search and would be the skills needed in order to be found by a recruiter. So going back, going into the more section, build a resume, creating a profile, putting in a job title, and getting in resume insights is what this page is looking at. Now, LinkedIn has created that list of 6,000 job titles. They've also created a list of skills that are associated with a job. And let's take a look at that, because this is a site that is outside of your LinkedIn profile set of information. It's an independent site that LinkedIn has. So it's this as a format, and it is going to take us, didn't move there. It'll take us to this page. So on this page, LinkedIn has information that it thinks are important for job seekers. It talks about the future of work. It's got some information on workforce data internationally, as well as the United States, provides some resources. The blog contains information that is useful, but our real interest right now is our skills section. And in here, it allows us to say, if we're taking a look at a city and we're looking for a job as a project manager, and here's a list of all the skills that are normally associated with success as a project manager, and they're in the order of importance. So the top one, project implementation and software implementation, are going to be the ones that are most useful and most searched for by recruiters. The ones at the bottom, if you don't have Visio or Agile project management, not as big a problem, but certainly the ones at the top should be considered and added. If you don't have them, perhaps taking a class out there, there are plenty of opportunities to learn new skills. This might give you an idea of where you should be adding in skills during the time that you're looking for a search. It also gives you the opportunity to say, how do I want to sort these additional jobs? And let's go with, if they're similar to an implementation project manager, the next move might be an implementation manager with 91% of the skills in common. It gives a chart of both of these, and each one of these little green boxes is a skill, and it tells you which skills are associated with this new job and which ones are only associated with the old job. So if you're looking for where do I go next in my career, this gives you possibilities and how closely you match to those and the skills that you would need to build if you opt to move into that new area. Finding those that are associated with skills is generally a best bet, because it's an easy way to demonstrate that you're ready for that next grouping. But if you wanted to go into what is more popular in a career path, you can take a look at those and see if there's anything different. So being able to find skills that you need to add to your resume and to your LinkedIn profile because they're associated with that job, this site is just invaluable for that type of work. So check it out. Any questions about this page? Jeff, you're keeping an eye on chats, right?
Ruth, could you do a quick review on how you obtain this page?
Okay. You have to go into this link. And you can do a search just in general, but it doesn't always get you there if you're on Google and you're saying career. And I just added that on into the chat feature so that you can click on that and then bookmark it if at all possible. But Career Explorer is the name of this area, and it's certainly worth a fair amount of research on.
Thank you.
Welcome. All right, so let's go back. And take a look at the spotlight features. And one of the first ones is the hashtag open to work. LinkedIn feels as if there's no shame in being unemployed. It's not something you need to hide anymore. For the last 10 years or so, probably the last 12 years, there's been a lot of change in companies where there have been mergers and acquisitions, where there have been brand new areas and restructuring within companies, and immensely talented people have been let go for no reason other than they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. Being able to say that you are willing to look at another job is one of the best things that recruiters are looking for, because they want somebody who is able to interview quickly and is more likely to accept the job when it's offered to them. So an open to work, LinkedIn is telling us that if you have this in a public way, so you've got the hashtag open to work as a banner around your headshot, you're generally going to get 20 to 50% more touches by recruiters asking if you're interested in the position. This does tend to get stale in LinkedIn, so it needs to be turned off every 2 months and then turned back on. And you can do it within a second or two of each other. There doesn't have to be a lag time in between there. But turn it off, put it back on. LinkedIn is afraid that after 2 months, you may have forgotten that you have this on, you may have accepted a job, and now you're confusing the recruiters. So turn it off, turn it back on. It is the most frequently used filter in the LinkedIn recruiter software. So when the recruiter gets that whole list of people who are meeting the minimal criteria that they're looking for in the title and the skills, generally the first thing the recruiter is going to do is say, which ones are, can I start interviewing? Which ones are open to work? So that's going to be the first one. You can keep it in private mode if you think that's best for you, but that means that only the recruiters who are utilizing the LinkedIn recruiter software are going to be able to see that. About half of the recruiters that are using LinkedIn to find talent are not using the LinkedIn recruiter software. They're just going out and they're doing Boolean searches using the search bars. So other spotlight feature was mutual interest, and that's where you let companies know that you're interested in that company. And there are 4 ways that you can do that. So let's go back onto LinkedIn and take a look at what we've got in a company in general. Okay, question came up in chat, the hashtag open to work. I've got it open to work, but I've got it set up so that it is only going to be recruiters and LinkedIn Recruiter that are going to be able to see that. If I said that all LinkedIn members, which mean the recruiters who are using LinkedIn Recruiter software, plus all of the recruiters who are not using LinkedIn Recruiter software, but are still doing searches, that's the difference that it looks like. So now I've got the hashtag open to work, which means that the public in general will be able to see that I'm interested in finding a new job. This area is important because it allows you to put in up to 5 different job titles. And the job titles, once again, are going to be those that are LinkedIn approved titles. You have to choose one of the ones that they have. You can't freeform this title area. Location types, whatever your location might be, immediately gives much better results by the recruiters than just being flexible. And providing it to all LinkedIn members is going to save you some time and effort. Now, going to a company and letting a company know that you're interested in them is going to increase the ability of the recruiter to find people who are good fits and are interested in their company. So in the chat feature, somebody give me the name of a company they're looking for. Work at. Northrop Grumman. All right, let's try this one. It'll give you the opportunity to simply follow the company, or you can view the company page for this company. And in this case, you really want to go in and take a look at the full company page. You'll need to follow it. This is your first indication of I'm interested in your company. And when you say that you're following the company, you're saying that you're willing to have that company push information to you on your homepage. And on your homepage, they'll be able to drop in different comments, different posts about new products, about possibly relocation or new facilities. It'll talk about the employee engagement activities. So following means that you're willing to engage in a conversation with them on the homepage of your profile. In the About section, if you scroll down, you'll be able to see, are you interested in working with us in the future? Normally, you're going to be looking for jobs on their career page of their major web page. If you can't find any jobs that are a good fit for you, you come into LinkedIn and you say, I'm interested in jobs. Even if there's nothing out there to apply for, keep me in mind. And when a job does come open, this is going to be one of the features that is going to come up. So we're following them. We're telling them we're interested. Then in the job section, the first thing you see on the job section is you can create an alert. Most of the time, the jobs that are posted here are not easy to navigate, so you're better off going on to the company page for this, for the career page to find all jobs so that you can sort them through a little bit easier. But this is the only place where you can create a job alert. And when you create a job alert, you're saying, here's a very specific title that I'm looking for. And here's a very specific location. And giving a metropolitan area gives you a better chance of being found than just using the city and a state. Don't know why that is. But then create your job alert. And when that happens, LinkedIn is going to be able to work with the recruiter so that when a job is posted on LinkedIn and it's a job that matches your profile, LinkedIn is going to push back to the recruiter. Here's a list of candidates who have indicated an interest in your company and this particular job family and who have the skills in their profile to match that. You might want to start with this list of people. So recruiters will always take a shortcut whenever one is offered. So being able to say, here is a job alert and that you're interested in the company is going to be a huge boost and your visibility for that company. Now, you can say that you're following as many companies as you want. You can show an interest in as many companies, but you can only create a limited number of job alerts. And some job alerts you're going to want for your jobs tab. Some of them you're going to want for the companies that you're targeting as high priority companies. So you have a maximum of 20, use them wisely, never use more than one per company. The next thing we're doing to show interest is we're going into the People tab. And in the People tab, it is going to show us all people who are employed by the company. And it's going to give us two columns initially. Let me open this up. It's going to show us where they live, and it's going to show us where they study. You have other columns that you can scroll through. When it says what they do, that tells you what department they work in. So if you're looking for a specific job, but you know what department that job would appear in, you can start narrowing down location, department. What they're skilled at, I haven't found to be particularly helpful. What they studied might not be helpful, but here they're giving you the opportunity to say, are you connected to anybody? So let's say I'm looking for first degree connections in this company, and I've got one. Now, once I have applied for a job, I can message my first degree connection, and I can say, I just applied for this role. Do you know who the hiring manager is? Do you know who the recruiter is? And would you be willing to allow me to use your name as a recommendation within the company? Because that would make that person eligible for a bonus, because most companies do have a bonus that they pay if somebody is recommended and is hired. And that could be a couple $100 depending on the company and the type of role that it was. So always a good thing to be able to find out where your connections are. And people move around. You lose track of where they're working. So being able to see, do I have any first degree connections? If you don't have first degree connections, then you want to see if you have any second degree connections. And a second degree connection means that you are not actually connected to this person, but you have somebody in common. And it tells me who I have in common. And I can send a connect request to someone and say, I see we have people in common in our LinkedIn networks. I am looking to connect with more people who are in a technology as managers. Let's connect. Giving a reason for a connection is going to be an easier way for people to accept you. Just sending out the, I'd like to connect. Certainly it's a compliment to somebody if you want to connect with them, but it's not necessarily an appeal that is going to be taken all the time. So find a reason to connect. And never use the white connect buttons when you're in a computer setting, because those send the automatic message. You go in and you click the person's name or their profile to go into their profile and use the blue connect button. And that allows you the ability to send a personalized message. And personalized message have a higher probability of being connected with because you're talking to them and you're giving them a reason. Now, this blue and white is just the opposite on your phone. So if you're doing a lot of work on your phone, be aware that blue sends the automatic and white gives you the opportunity to put in a message. But being connected to somebody in the company is one of the reasons that a recruiter is going to be able to find you, because that's part of their algorithm. So 4 ways to connect with a company. You're going to follow them. In the About section, you're going to say, I'm interested. In the Job section, you may want to set up a job alert. And in the People section, you want to be connected to somebody. When in doubt, connect with a recruiter. Recruiters are generally the easiest people to connect to because their job is collecting people. And in this case, we've got 652 recruiters that are associated with the company. These are people who are currently in a recruiter role or who have ever been in a recruiter role. So you could find a real mix of people who 20 years ago were a recruiter. You don't need to recruit, you don't need to connect with them. But in the recruiters, if you see that there's a hashtag hiring, that's the purple banner, that means that the person is actively engaged in hiring people and is probably most likely to connect with you. So finding recruiters, finding that hashtag hiring, I would send a note to that person, not through the white connect button, but from their profile page itself, through the blue button, in order to connect with them. Okay on that? Okay. So we found the 4 ways that we're connecting with our targeted company: following the job alert, going in saying I'm interested, and then connecting to somebody within the company. Now, LinkedIn is also going to want you to be active. And in order to be in that area, they've got a spotlight feature, which is called active talent. So active talent means that you need to fit one of these 5 areas. You're either active on LinkedIn, that you've hit the enter button at least 3 times a week, that you will respond when a recruiter messages you, that you updated something on LinkedIn recently, that you shared a resume, or that you worked at an organization with a recent layoff. LinkedIn prioritizes the profiles of people who have been in the layoff in the last couple of months because they feel that strong talent has been let go from a company. If it was a layoff that was big enough to hit the news, they're definitely interested in that, because then it's not a layoff that is just a few people who were not measuring up to the parameters of quality. It is a large enough group of people that there's some really strong people that are out there that can be found and brought in for a new job. So if you're on the home page, this is where a lot of the activity is going to take place once you're satisfied that you have a LinkedIn profile that is strong. You're going to see posts on your home page, and you need to comment on a couple of them a week. Being able to say, thank you for sharing this information. I found the same thing when I was working at my last role. LinkedIn will give you credit anytime you reply to a post. It will give you a maximum number of points and credit if you have 12 words or more. They're looking for engagement here. They're looking to continue a conversation. So having a minimum of 12 words in your comment is going to boost your score on LinkedIn, and is going to give you a better feel for, or recruiters will have a better feel for your activity and your ability to deal with job search activities. Don't use emojis or emoticons. They just don't translate well. They're shortcuts, and LinkedIn does not like shortcuts. But at least 3 times a week, comment on a post. You can also post by yourself. So in the home page, you can create a post. You can either bring in an article from another site and put your comments on it. You could create some content that is brand new that you want to share, but you need to post on a weekly basis. Don't post on Mondays and Fridays because there's just not as much activity on those days. Using hashtags is going to improve your reach. And if anybody comments on your post, then comment on their comment, because now you are dealing with a dialogue and not just a post. So being active on the home page is going to be able to increase the score of your LinkedIn profile and bring you up higher in those searches. LinkedIn also keeps track on how often you reply when a recruiter messages you. And when a recruiter sends you a message into your LinkedIn, you need to be able to respond to it, even if it's not a role that you want. commenting back and saying, this is a lower level position than what I was looking for, or looks like I would need to relocate in order to accept this role. I'm not in a position to do that. Give them some feedback, but by all means, reply to them. LinkedIn is tracking this information, and they give you a likely to respond score, which is part of your profile depth. And you don't need to reply to messages, people trying to sell you stuff. There's plenty of selling on LinkedIn, and that's not what they're looking for. Questions and comments. Looks like we had some things in the comments section.
Yeah, Tracy says, is there a workaround for the recruiters who are not using the paid version? For someone currently employed, but looking at somebody's currently employed, but looking to change companies.
So if they're doing their own search, they're going to be using the search bar up here. So they're going to say, I'm looking for a project manager, and I'm looking for communication as a skill. And when they do their search, LinkedIn is going to be providing them with information on people. So they're going to look at all of this, but then they're going to have some other filters on, do we want to find out what company they're in right now? When we go into all filters, we want to see where they're located, what they're talking about, what kind of school they went to, what industry. LinkedIn has 149 different industries, so they can move it down. So I'm looking for only people who have been in fisheries. Oh, ranching and fisheries. So they can narrow it down considerably from 4 million results to something that is much more manageable to work with. They can also look at it for language, servicing. They can look at it for keywords. So when a recruiter is looking for people on LinkedIn without using the LinkedIn Recruiter software, they'll be using the Boolean search. So you're grouping together the information that you're looking for, and LinkedIn gives you the information that is generally most appropriate and allows you to filter it down based on either other skills, other activity, and go from there.
All right, another question is, what do I do when HR titles are being randomly used regardless of the level of experience?
Oh my gosh, isn't that miserable? Yes. Then you do need to translate your title. So in the title area, you're going to have to put in parentheses what that equivalency is. And if it's a higher level, that's okay. So if you've got a senior manager as the title that your company gave you, in parentheses, you can put in director, because you're seeing that that's the equivalent at other companies. Or if you want to have something as a completely different title, like I did here, it's generally in the same job family, but it's more of a technical, rather than a managerial job family. Put that down, and then in your headline area, make sure that you have information that's associated with what you're looking for and the level that you need that.
And you also can probably put in the about section, list several different job titles in your about section. At the very bottom, you can just put some other stuff if you look at my profile, you see I have a lot of keywords at the bottom of my profile. And that way, just as an option of how you can, of other places to make that job title show up.
My question was actually the other way around. When I look for a job that matches my profile, I can just type in whatever. If it's an HR director, it could be a much lower level from one company to the next. HR business partner could be the highest position at the highest table, and at the another company, it's a startup position, like a low entry. So when I put in open to work, these are the roles I'm open to, I can only choose 5, but in HR, it's just a mess. So what do I do there?
You're going to have to limit yourself to the 5, but in your about section, you can put in more job titles. The titles are going to be found in your headline area and in your experience titles, but being able to add in information into your about section to talk about other job titles that you're interested in can be beneficial too. It won't have the point value that you're really looking for, because those are the highest point values are going to be in your headline and in your title fields, but at least it gives you that general understanding by somebody who's reading your profile on what your availability is.
Yeah, yeah, that part I do have it down, I think. It's just when you have that job alert open, you can only choose 5. But also when you just look through all the job openings, is all over the place.
Yeah,
That's
companies are
why
all,
it's very, very, yeah,
you know, companies can call something whatever they want. Think about going to a bank and everybody there is an assistant vice president. They're not vice presidents, but that's what they give everybody. So
yeah,
you just have to apply, you just have to find out. Hopefully you get that phone call and then you can find out if this is a job that you're interested in or if it's beneath you. You're not going to know until you actually have a conversation with somebody, because everybody has a different job. And this is not beside in HR. This is in every other field, project management. I mean, all across the field, you know, every company calls things differently. And there's really not a lot you can do about it, except if you're getting those phone calls, great. And you just have to quantify it or qualify it at that point.
yeah, I
The
understand. It's
other
just
thing to remember is
very
that
hard to,
LinkedIn is pretty smart about what you're looking for too. So if you're in the jobs tab and you're putting in that you're looking for a project analyst or a project engineer position, they're bringing in not just project engineer jobs through here, they're doing everything in the job family. And LinkedIn is watching what you're clicking on and what type of jobs that you're most interested in. So that when you go into the job tab and they say recommended for you, there's going to be all of those titles considered in here. So your search needs to be the titles that you're looking for and that you feel qualified for. It's nicer if it's reflected in your profile page itself, but if you run out of room, the jobs tab and your activity is going to mitigate that to some extent.
yeah, what I actually mean is I'm looking for an HR business partner position. Just a title, very simple, very clean. And then from there, any company all over the globe will use that title however they like. It can be any level all over the place. So even if I have that up as that's what I'm interested in, I will get so many opportunities sent my way. To scroll through that, I will have to click on all of them and read through. So now LinkedIn is thinking I'm interested in all of them, which I'm not. That's where I get stuck.
Okay, your best bet in that case is going into the all filters. And when you're in all filters, you've got this panel that comes up and you can say, I'm at this experience level. And down here toward the bottom, salary is sometimes your best indication of where you want to be in an organization. And if you're saying my minimum salary is 160,000, that's going to minimize a lot of these and take out a lot of the results, bringing it down into something that's more manageable.
Thank you.
Are you aware that LinkedIn now allows you to have 100 skills in the skill section? They only
Yeah,
allow you to have 2 on the front page, but they allow you to have 100 skills listed here.
Yeah, I read about that, but I haven't, I looked at mine and mine still says show all 50 or show the 48. So maybe it's something they're rolling out slowly here across the.
It's
across
rolling
the-
out across the nation right now, so if you're not seeing it immediately, there was just a notice that it was increasing it to 100, but it's not in their help section yet. And normally in this help section, that would appear, but until it rolls out completely, they're not going to add that.
Right. Question here, how do I recognize scammers posing as recruiters or resume consultants?
That's a tough one. Part of it is that you can do the search on LinkedIn, but most scammers are wise to what a LinkedIn profile should look like. If you go on to, say, Jeff was acting as a recruiter, you can take a look at the More button, and you can say about this profile. And in the profile, Jeff is verified. He's been on LinkedIn for a number of years. If you're seeing somebody who was only on LinkedIn for the last year and is presenting themselves as somebody who is not verified, but has expertise, be cautious about it and back away from it if you think that there are some unsavory possibilities there.
I think it boils down to you need to be able to ask when they call you, or if you get to talk to them, you need to ask them, there's a couple questions. What kind of recruiter are you? How many puts have you had with this company? There's a couple other questions you can ask about, you have to just vet them. And, if the hair on your back of your neck stands up, move on to the next person. All right, Gina says, question, to refresh the open to work flag, is there a way to turn it off and then back on without deleting all the details such as location, job titles, and employment types, etc.?
Say that again, I missed it.
So if you are refreshing the open to work flag, so you say to do that at least once every 2 months.
Right.
When you refresh, is there a way not to lose the job titles and the location and all the information that you've loaded in?
Okay, we're going to delete it. It's gone. Now I'm going to get started. And it all shows up except for the titles.
All right, so job title is the only thing you have to remember. Okay.
Good question.
Okay. Let's see here. The filter when using the filter and when you put in a salary range, or when you went and put that in there, does that eliminate any job that has no salary listed?
LinkedIn always takes a guess at what the salary would be. So when you're on a site like salary.com or payscale.com or glassdoor.com and you're looking for pay ranges, LinkedIn has the same type of information. So based on the company, based on the title, it's going to take a general guess as to what the average pay would be. And it may not be something that is public, but LinkedIn's got a good feel for it. And sometimes the recruiters give that to LinkedIn, but don't put it on the job posting itself.
All righty. Anybody else? We have time for one more question. If somebody else has a question, you're welcome to unmute your mic and ask Ruth. Question? All right. Well, Ruth, thank you very much for your time today. Great information. As always, I mean, this is always just very fascinating to see this stuff and to go through it. And you keep up to date with what's going on. So we really, really appreciate that.
Okay, let me show you one more thing.
Oh, wait, go ahead. You need to reshare again because I popped you out. There you go.
You can add up to 100 skills. It was updated 3 weeks ago. If you haven't been rolled out yet, it just means that you're in the middle of the country or something and you haven't been found yet. So it's coming. But that's in LinkedIn Help. Okay. All yours. Thank you.
All right, thank you very, very much. So it really is happening. That's great. All right. Excuse me. If you want to connect with Ruth, here's her LinkedIn profile. Please feel free to do so. Just remember, please send her a personal note. Let her know that you saw her here today. That's always the best way so that people know why we're connecting. You always want to try to send a connection request to connect with somebody. Next Tuesday, our presenter will be Kurt Vandermatter. One of the questions or one of the things we talked about, how do recruiters find you? You know, how are they finding your profile? Well, Kurt pays the big bucks to LinkedIn for the full-blown recruiting package. He's going to show us that recruiting package from the back end. So you ever wanted to ask a recruiter how you be found? Here's the guy to ask next Tuesday. So come join us for that. All right, if everybody will please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Jeff Morris, promise to always send a personal note whenever I send a LinkedIn request to connect with anyone. This includes when I use my cell phone or my computer. I think as Ruth mentioned in the whenever you see a white connect button, it will send a generic invitation. When you see a blue connect button, it will allow you to send a personal note. Now, a couple nuances here. This is true on a PC or on a desktop or laptop. If you're using the mobile version, the blue connect button will send a generic invitation. You need to click on the little 3 dots just off to the right, go to the sub menu, which will then allow you to send a personalized invitation. Also, if you connect with somebody, and let's say you saw them here, but you forgot to send the personal invitation, when you get that connection request, send them a note right away going, thank you very much for connecting. I really enjoyed meeting you or seeing you at the meeting last night, whatever it is, because that way you'll have a record of when you met that person so that in 6 months or a year, if they contact you again, you'll know the first time you saw somebody. Career DFW, Career USA, we're putting on training 4 days a week. Please join us. Tomorrow, the practice interview team will be meeting online only. So you can watch an actual practice interview. It will start at 1 o'clock. We'll be done by about 2:30, 2:45. So join us tomorrow. It will be on Zoom only. There will be no Facebook tomorrow, and it will not be recorded. So if you want to watch an actual practice interview, come join us tomorrow, 1 p.m. Central. This Thursday being the 4th Thursday of the month, we're going to, or the 4th Thursday of the month, How to Network with Tom Jackson. It's a really, Tom lays things out very analytical on how he does things. And I think you'll see the way his mind works when you sort of see how he talks about this. So, you know, we all need a network. That's how you're going to make your next contact. Join us this Thursday, 1 o'clock Central. And then this Friday morning at the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group meeting, Elizabeth Lyons will be with us, and she's going to talk about how to discover how ChatGPT can transform your job search. This is a brand new title she just put together, so you can join us for that. If you're living in the DFW area, come join us in person. Otherwise, you can join us on Zoom or Facebook Live if you live outside the DFW area. If you'd like to join the Career DFW or Career USA LinkedIn groups, here are 2 ways for you to expand your connections. I know LinkedIn hasn't done anything with groups in quite a long time, but here's a great way for you to be able to connect with other people who are both in your field and outside your field. And I will tell you that of the 15,000 members, probably 1 out of 15 people work in the HR department. In fact, today I just saw somebody head of an HR group who just joined the Career DFW group. So consider joining one or both. You do not need to live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area to join the Career DFW group. This session has been recorded. You will be able to go back and watch it on the Career USA YouTube channel. Click on playlist and then click on LinkedIn down at the very bottom where it says view full playlist. Up will come a list of all the different dates and topics. So you can go down and scroll and watch any of those at your convenience. If you're not receiving emails about our workshop and you'd like to join the Career USA mailing list, you'll never be spammed, but what you will get is the topic of the day, the title of the day, and most importantly, the Zoom link of the day. Just either scan this QR code or just send an email to Career USA, the +sign subscribe at groups.io. Please remember, Career FW, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We have no full or part-time employees. All of our speakers are volunteers. I'm a volunteer. Everything I've done over the last 15 years has just been to help you land your next great opportunity. So thank you very much for joining us today, everybody. Have a great Tuesday afternoon, and we hope to see you tomorrow for a practice interview.